going on, man?
Not much. How you doing, man?
Same old, bro. Nothing much.
Felt that. I felt that.
Man, good to talk to you after a long while.
Yeah. I mean, you changed your number. I was still sending music your way and stuff to the old number.
Damn, bro. Like, I actually changed it, what time? Like, when was it? I think it was about a couple months ago.
Right.
Yeah, so, well, matter of fact, it wasn't a couple months. It was like one month ago. I was sending my number out to people, and I forgot, like, you specifically. Like, your number, like, your name popped up, like, real far down in my messages. So that was on me. I apologize.
You good.
And so when the next time you going to stop down, bro, you need to get some work done.
When COVID over with.
Yeah, bro. I don't think it's gonna be over with, but you know, they're gonna give us a little bit of leeway when it comes to like freedom.
Yeah, because I mean, it first started. I was gonna come down there last summer, and then COVID was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a thing now," and I was like, "Oh well, can't go nowhere now."
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah, and then every time we were just like, "Oh, we have some hope. I might be able to get down there for Christmas." And that was like, eventually it was like November, Thanksgiving came around. I was like, "Yeah, it's not gonna go nowhere."
Yeah, bro. This is throwing a wrench in everybody's plans for God knows how long. Like,
yeah.
We started like early 2019. Well, I mean, late 2019. Really, it was like around November-ish. But they ain't do no lockdowns until like February.
Yep. Because I know down here we were like, oh, it's all the way in Washington, all the way on the other side of the continent. We were like, oh, it's here now. And then all of a sudden our governor was like, oh, yeah, I know it's here, but we're not going to shut anything down. And all of a sudden, all of us in Walmart were like, oh, boy, get ready to sell all the toilet paper.
Yeah, you should have seen the shit we had to deal with, man. Like, you couldn't keep anything on the shelves over at Target and stuff like that, bro. That was everywhere.
It's the same way down here, because I'm at Walmart, man. Whew. They still buying toilet paper for no reason.
There's no way you shit that much. There's no way.
No, not at all. They don't. They just buy it.
Well, I'll tell you this, like Charmin and all them, they making a hell of a lot of money off these dudes.
Yeah, they got to. I'd be taking advantage of it at this point. All my commercials are going to have zombies and COVID in it at this point. My commercials are going to be post-apocalyptic.
Hey, that's clever, though. That's clever. It makes a lot of noise out there, so might as well utilize it while you can.
Most definitely.
And I don't do too much like COVID-related stuff. I mean, my stuff is, I don't even know. It's just everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, we got some stuff coming out. It's going to be more, how do I put it, trauma-based. Like,
right.
Yeah, so it's going to be like a bunch of, like, male trauma stuff, like stuff that we don't talk about. So it's going to be a series of multiple things like that. So we got 2 so far that we ain't bring out yet, but definitely going to make something happen with that, though.
Right.
I got a heck of a lot of faith in you, man. I can't wait till it comes out.
Thank you. Then the music going, I think quarantine, I think I recorded like 3.5 albums.
Damn.
Yeah. Because my goal, when it first started, I was like, all right, cool, we're not going to be able to go nowhere. So let me just go ahead and start recording and start writing. And my goal was like, all right, so when I come back, it's just going to be, I'm going to have like an album and a couple singles. But then the turnaround, I was like, yeah, I got like 3 albums, 3.5, and some singles that I can just throw on an album. So like when I come back, it might be every week. I might drop something every week.
Hey, man, at least you go keep yourself busy with that type of regimen.
Yeah, that's what it is, because COVID started and then the school was locked down. I know, and then we didn't even go back. Yeah, like there might be like there's a handful of people on campus, but nobody's really on campus. All of us are online. So I just do my work when it's due, like that day when it's assigned, instead of like trying to put it off. And I have Fridays off. I don't have no classes on Fridays. So I'll normally like work in the morning Friday, come home and start working on my other stuff.
Smart decision making right there. I mean, the last thing you want to do is to put it off, and then you got all this stuff piled up on your plate, like the last minute.
Definitely, that's one thing I can't have. It that like I think I did that for one semester, for the last semester last year, and then got the finals, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this junior year. Can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah, that makes. I mean, at least you learned your lesson. That's the best you can do. At least you learned your lesson.
Yeah.
Because it's kids your age, they doing that the entire time they in college, man.
Yeah,
I mean, some of them make it work. Some of them can make it work, but I mean, it's just like, would you rather have all of that piled up towards the end, or would you rather get it done as quickly as possible and then have a bunch of free time afterwards?
I'd be looking for the free time.
Exactly. But a lot of people just want the free time first. Man. Like, I'd rather be set up for, like, just in case, like, even if you're not 100% sure on the things that you've done, at least you have time to think it over later.
Yeah. That's got to work, man. It's work first, play later, man.
Man, it's a real good mindset. A real good mindset.
Hey.
I tell you, man, I can't wait until you get your stuff off the ground, man. This is gonna be pretty good. Like, I was just listening to 7781 a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I still put that. Like, I still listen to that consistently. I'll pop it in every now and then. I'll still listen to it. It's not something that I just put off immediately. I think I might have given you like 100 views by myself.
Thanks, man. I got some more stuff coming.
Man, can't wait till it comes out, man. Like, the growth is looking really good.
Thank you. I mean, you got some stuff out now too.
I got too many things out, to be honest. I feel like I'm juggling too many things at once.
Hey,
I just dropped the album last week.
Right.
Yeah, like I dropped my second poetry album in like last week, and this is my second poetry album in like 3 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got that. I got numerous short films, skits and stuff. I have clothing line and all that other stuff. It's so many different things, but it's just like I'd rather have this stuff out there than to just keep it to myself. It's pointless for me to just keep stuff like this to myself.
Yeah, that's the way I've been too. If I keep working now, like, I'll be able to relax later. If I just work and I work hard now, I can relax when that time comes to be where everybody else is like, oh man, I gotta catch up. At that point, I can be like, yeah, I'm so far ahead of you that, like, I don't have to worry about you catching up while I take this little 3-day break like I'm on now.
Hey, bro, I feel you. I know exactly what you mean. Because, man, I tell you, people will look at me, because I remember it was like a couple weeks ago I released like some random poems and stuff on my Facebook. And I remember our cousin Tish, like, she was like, oh, my God, do you really want people to see your stuff? I mean, aren't you afraid of people taking it? I was like, it doesn't matter if they take it or not. I mean, even if they try to take it, they can't recreate something like that. I have tons of stuff like that. So anything that I've written or just put out there on Facebook or something, it doesn't matter. I'm so far ahead that even if you try to like nudge your way in, like, there's no way of you recreating it.
Yeah.
It's not possible. Because if you're not creative at all, then there's no chance of you even getting close to that.
Right. And that's what I like about like writing personally, is that like if you see what I have, if you try to take it just word for word, phrase for phrase, bar for bar, I can be like, hey, you didn't write that. I have it in my notes, or I have it written right here with the date on it. Like, and then if you try to recreate it in any other way, it's like it's lost that originality at that point. Like you can try to say what I can say, but you're not going to say it the same way I can say it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's really tough for people to really understand a lot of the stuff that I say. Because I will speak in like double, triple, quadruple entendres, and then people will be like, "Oh my God!" Like surface level, they'll be like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." But if someone was to try and take that, they wouldn't be able to decipher the lines the way that I'd created them. So all they'll get is like the surface level bars or the surface level like stanzas or something if I'm writing like a poem or something. They wouldn't understand the concepts of what I was getting at. But I could break down every single piece of it, and then that will give you an idea like, oh, this guy is the one who actually made that. So that you can't take it because I know everything about it. I know why I wrote it. I know every piece. So
that's how it is, man.
It is, man. It took me a while to get to this point, but I swear, bro. Ever since I've been here, like writing at this level, it's only elevated since then. So it's just a really good feeling to know that you can write in a way that most people would just look at as like God tier, but to you it's just child's play.
Yeah. And that's especially with me now. Like I've been writing for so long that I know how I can write something, and I've learned how to like look at it and be like, what's another way I can say this? What's a deeper way I can say that? And then I'll show my friends, or I'll say it in front of some people, and they'll be like, that's kind of fire. And I'll be like, well, let me break it down to you, like in the way that when I was writing it, the way that I was thinking it. And I know one of the last songs I wrote, I showed to one of my best friends, and he was like, yo, that's kind of fire. And I was like, okay, you said kind of, let me break it down for you so you can actually see what exactly it was that I said.
Yeah, bro. That's like the best times for a writer. Is for someone to believe that it's somewhat good, but then you break it down to them, and then they're like, oh, damn. Are you serious? Yeah. So, yeah, I love the complexities of writing, and it makes things a lot more, like, it makes things so much more personal. Because if you are writing complex rhyme schemes, or if you're making like double, triple, quadruple, even sextuple entendres, you're breaking down a concept in your own form and fashion that a lot of people aren't really understanding, or a lot of people aren't going to easily interpret.
Yeah.
So to me,
go ahead.
Like to me, it just makes things so much more fun. Like writing like that is so fun. And I actually feel bad for the people who think that, oh man, I can't write nothing, or they don't want to write, or stuff like that. But you have no idea how far you can go.
Not at all.
Yeah, literature goes a long way.
Most definitely. And my favorite thing, especially about writing, is like when you're playing double, triple, sextuple entendres and things like that, is like they might catch like the first thing, but like I know for me, I've grown in like double entendres. I know. I'm gonna spoil it because the song gonna come out soon anyway. I said, grab a tech in 30 seconds, martial law. And when I showed it to my friend, he was like, okay, that's cool and all, but I don't get it. So then I told him, I was like, all right, so martial law essentially is when the government, it can't really do nothing with the people, so the military they can shoot at will, essentially. And I was like, a tech is a gun, so grab a tech, 30 seconds, martial law. But then I was like, if you take it and you listen to what I said, I'll grab the game Tekken, and all I need is 30 seconds to beat you with martial law. And I was like, that's the Bruce Lee character right there. It's 30 seconds or less if you know what you're doing. And he was like, yo,
Yo,
that
I
right
caught
there.
that. That was fire.
Yeah. He was like, that right there. I was like, it's a mindset type of thing. Like you can let somebody outwork you, or everybody's gonna outwork you. So you either outwork somebody or somebody gonna outwork you, and that's all there is to it, man.
Man, the growth. Oh, I'm so proud. I'm so proud.
Thank you.
Man, no problem, man. You're a far cry from being walrus like you were when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Man. But it's
Yeah.
great. It's great to see the progression, man, especially since you are such a good kid, man. And you have so much going for yourself. And to see you writing the way that I feel as though you could have and elevating yourself like that, like it's nothing better. Because when I first heard your album, I was like, man, he has so much potential here. And then I'm like giving you all this encouragement, like, dude, keep going, keep learning, and all that shit. And then just to see you taking that and doing exactly what I expected you to do is just, there's no better feeling. Really, it's not.
And I mean, I started to buckle down for real when I get on Facebook and I see like Mercedes, she posts like she's so much closer to like her goal of being a nurse and whatnot, and her like wanting to open up her own hospital and things. And I was like, I gotta get on my grind because I can't let my cousin outwork me this much. Mercedes is out here. She is putting in work for real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have some really hard-working family members. Like, and when it comes to their craft, like whatever it is that we're doing that is potentially making us push forward, like we excel at it.
Yeah. And
we just go that extra mile that a lot of people will not go to. Because, you know, like James he's doing his photography stuff. Like, it's so many people doing the things that they want to do. Like, you know, Mike is a mechanic. Like, he could probably open his own shop because he has all the clientele anyway. He pretty much has a shop in his garage. So, like, we excel at what we want to do. It just takes a little bit of time for us to figure out what it is that we want to do. Like, it might not be immediate, but once we figure out and get a grasp on it, it's already there. Like, we're 10 steps ahead as soon as we start.
Yep.
So
and I think that's what sets us apart is that, like, as a family, we push each other to reach those goals that maybe we haven't even thought of, but that we'll see and be like, hey, you can reach this part. I don't even know if you've looked at it, but I think you can reach this goal. And then we'll be like, well, I hadn't even thought about that. That's higher than what I even thought of.
Yeah, like I've seen it on numerous occasions. Like, you remember when I started out, I was writing books.
Yep.
Like that's where my beginning. Well, actually, my beginning was like me writing poems in like middle school and stuff like that. I was writing poems like crazy, but in like commercializing my craft, it came from book writing.
Right.
And then after that, like it gradually grew from that. Like I would go from books, then I would just go back to poems, or I'll go to short stories. And then after that, like 2019 hit, I'm writing double, triple, sextuple entendres and stuff like that, and I'm learning my craft much more than what I was before. And people were telling me I was amazing at what I was doing beforehand. So imagine with the elevated mindset that I'd had around 2019, how good my writing had become.
Right.
Because I was doing it ever since I was in middle school. Like, I was a teenager, like less than a teenager. I was actually like around 11. And I'm writing consistently. Like, I have over like 70, 80 poems and stuff, and that's on my computer by itself. Like, I ain't going to count all the stuff I got on my phone. So I have a lot of stuff that I've been writing for years. I made my own comic books when I was a kid. I was always really, really creative. So a lot of things that I was doing, it was just like gradually building and building and building and building and building. And after a while, it was just like, what the hell are you doing? You might as well take it to the next step. And I'm building and building and building again. And now I've gotten to the point where I can't even get comfortable with how I'm writing now. Like, I feel as though I can best myself every time I write again.
Yeah. And I've gotten there. Gotten there with my writing too, because I was saying I got there with my writing too, because like I'll write and then I'll be like, I feel like the last song I wrote was better than this. How can I make this one better than that? And that's kind of how I've taken that approach, is that my next has to be better than my previous. So like if it's not, then I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna take a break from this song, or I'm gonna take a break from this poem or whatnot, and I'll be like, all right, I'm going to work on something else. But this right here, I'm still keeping the back burner, because there have been plenty of times where I'll be writing and I'll think of something and I'll be like, this is what I need to say, instead of saying something else on this previous song. So let me go fix that. And then once I fix it and I see that it flows better, or it sounds better, or it makes more sense, then I'll have that inspiration to be like, yeah, just going to go ahead and finish this out now. And then usually for me, it's like, once I have that one bar done that gave me that stumped me, I'd be like, all right, I'm out of that little writer's block slump. Now I can write the rest of this song. And then I'll look at it and I'll be like, yeah, this is where I want it to be.
Yeah, bro. That feeling, like once you get over the hump, oh man, everything is just free flowing after that.
Yeah.
Cause I done had numerous like times I'll write a verse or something, and I'll kind of get stuck on just something slight, a way for me to connect the bars in a way, because I'm trying to write in numerous entendres at once. So every line has like doubles. So that's where I'm at with my entendre game. I'm like, every line has like a meaning to it, and it's more than like three at the same time. So I'm just like going down further and further and further, and then eventually I'll get stumped at one spot, and then I'll try and write a little bit more after that. I'll write like what's supposed to come after, and then eventually I'll connect it. It's like playing a game of tic-tac-toe. Like, you got to find the right spot in order for you to connect it and win.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the beauty of it, man, is that you can write. And that's what I love about it, is like I can write, and then like I'll be missing one bar to connect two separate things. So like I might have an entire verse, and I'll have the rest of the verse, but I'll miss one bar to connect the two, and I'll be like, I don't know what to put here. And then I'll come back like 3.5 days later, like sometimes even a month, and be like, I know what I'm gonna put here now. And then finally put it there and be like, it took me this long to figure this out.
Yeah, it's like a Rubik's Cube, bro. It's so many different ways to connect things, but in order for you to finish the game properly, you have to know exactly how to maneuver every block.
Yeah. Still can't figure out how to solve a Rubik's Cube to save my life.
You ain't the only one, bro. And there's people who can do it in like 10 seconds, and they're like, nope, not me.
Yeah, no, not at all. I remember being in high school, even in college, just watching people solve, and I'd be like, yeah, I wish I could do that. And they'd be like, it's so easy. And I'd be like, that's easy for you to say. You know how to solve it. I can watch somebody solve it, and then they can scramble it and tell me exactly what to do, and I'm still going to mess around and have like the one color in the center is going to be different from all of them. I'll be like, I don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly how I am. I mean, a lot of the times, like, if I was to like hunker down and try and learn a Rubik's Cube, maybe I could do something with it. However, as of right now, my mind isn't focused on Rubik's Cubes. But if you want to give me a Rubik's Cube of bars, then definitely I can connect that all day long.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I can connect that all day long. If you're going to give me a whole bunch of entendres and stuff like that, then yeah, I can give you something. And I feel as though I can write with the best of them. That's how I feel as of right now. And
yeah,
In order for me to feel that way, I have to prove it. And I have to keep proving it to myself over and over and over and over again, because consistency is key. Regardless of how good I do on one bar, I can always do better on the next.
Yep.
So, and that was one of my biggest things, and especially with even rapping in general. It was big. I was big on just entendres at one point, and now I'm working more towards cadence. Cadence is is key to writing. So with poems and stuff, I was more like free writing. So a lot of my stuff was not coming out like on key with everything, because with poems you didn't have to be. But if you're trying to make a rap or a verse or anything like that, if you're trying to make a song, you need cadence. Without cadence, there is nothing there. Not unless you're making an a cappella song. But if you're going to work with cadence, you have to know your word placement. And that's one of the toughest parts of making a double and triple quadruple entendres while in correct cadence. And as of right now, I'm still working at that, because I wasn't a rapper to begin with. I'm still not a rapper now. I don't consider myself as. I'm more of a spoken word poet. And I just started doing spoken word not too long ago.
Yeah.
So it's just like you got to take some time off, just do something different, because I was used to poems. Now I got to get used to something else. Like, I want to be good at everything, but I want to be the best at something at the same time.
Yeah. Because I remember having a conversation while on the job, and this customer had said to me, we were talking about fame, and he said he broke it down. He was like, for rappers, the levels of fame you'll have, he said your first level will be like your little pump. You'll be hot now, but then eventually you'll give it like 2, maybe 3 years, and you're gonna die out. No one's gonna remember you. And then he said that you'll gradually, if you make it past that, then you'll make it to like your Tekashi stage, which is where you're hot now, but you go in waves. Like, you're hot, then you'll disappear, and then you're hot again, then you disappear. And then he said that you have your Drake level, which is you're hot now and you just there, but you have to consistently stay in the media's presence. And then you have your J. Cole or your Kendrick level, which is you have people who are just so infatuated with you that you disappear and they're still talking about your albums from 2, 3, 4 years ago. And then you have your last level, which is your Dr. Dre level, which is you don't have to put out any more music, but if somebody sees your name is connected with something, or your name's connected with an artist or a piece of music, that they're guaranteed right there to stop what they're doing to listen to that, because you just made that big of a name for yourself.
I like the way that was worded, because you get to the Jay-Z, the Dr. Dre, then you also, like, even a lot of people don't give him the kudos that he deserves, but you put Snoop Dogg on anything, I mean, it's guaranteed to at least garner some attention.
Yeah.
So it's numerous people like that. Like, a lot of people have given themselves somewhat of a platform to, like, jump onto. And you got to respect the people like the J. Coles and the Kendricks who can just disappear, and people are still, like, recollecting a lot of the things that they were saying, because they have very good pieces of work. Because you remember J. Cole did an entire album went platinum without features. Like, that was never done before, ever. So people, like, do not take that into consideration a lot when it comes to, like, people like J. Cole, Kendrick, and stuff. I mean, Kendrick does have a lot of people on his albums, but honestly, he can out-rap a lot of people in the industry now.
Definitely.
Underground, on the other hand, I'm not going to give him.
No.
I know too many of them. I know too many of them that are destroyed. Not even in his own camp. I still believe Absol is better.
Yeah.
He
is.
I still.
He is.
So
if a lot of these artists were to go to like the underground scene, like they would get eaten up. They can't survive down there. It's too, like, underground is too real for a lot of people. Like, I think if you were to take, like, I know a lot of people down here, they listen to like a lot of Pooh Shiesty and Polo G, and I'm like, okay, because I like underground, so like I'll just be bumping underground, and like they'll hear it and they'll be like, yeah, that's Nick, that's Dom, that's him right there. I'll go over here, and then I'll explain it to them. I'll be like, yeah, you listen to Polo G and Pooh Shiesty, but I was like, go listen to Black Thought, but actually listen to them, and I'll only give them one song and be like, I want you to listen to this one song about 4 or 5 times and go to sleep and tell me how you feel in the morning. And then one guy woke up and he was like, bro, I feel like I could join the Black Panthers, bro, because he was speaking. And I was like, that's the difference, because underground, those guys are actually saying something with substance, and compared to the mainstream guys are just like, I do drugs. And I was like, that's where it is, man.
Yeah, bro. A lot of people don't take into consideration how good the underground music is. Like a lot of people will just judge hip hop based on the mainstream and how it's portrayed in the limelight. That's not how it works. Hip hop is actually still alive. People say hip hop is dead. Hip hop is still alive in the eyes of the people who are underground. Because you give me somebody like Joey Badass, or you give me somebody like Sci-Hi the Prince, or even like on the white side, give me somebody like Ritz or Marlon Craft. They make music that is definitely worth listening to.
Yeah,
it's not the fact that it's not the fact that it's a whole bunch of bars thrown at you, but you will get that if you get like Sci-Hi, Joey Badass. But with Marlon and like Ritz, like they'll give you a lot of substance, because their songs are not usually the same. Sure, with Rich, you'll get a lot of him talking about his past, about how he was a drug addict and stuff like that. But that's to be expected. Like, hip-hop started with your personal stories. So I can understand that. But I will consistently listen to people who can wrap my mind into their world. That's why I love people like Royce, who can consistently wrap my mind into his world and give me an idea of what he's talking about. And then he's sort of like an enigma. That's pretty much how I look at it. Like, be an enigma to me. So I feel as though you're more interesting, so that I feel as though I have to study your album and not just listen to it for shock value.
Yeah.
And
I mean that. Go ahead.
No. When I started I think my whole underground listening phase, I think it started out with, this is kind of niggerish, I'll say. Like, it started out with Titty Boy. Before he was 2 Chainz. It was Titty Boy. Like, I was a big Titty Boy fan, and I was listening to his albums, his mixtapes consistently. And I was listening to, even some of the mainstream guys. I was listening to like Gucci and all them. But then I was like, I need something more. Even though Titty Boy was actually good at rapping, he became a little bit more commercial for me. And around that time, I was heavy into Big Crit too. And I could not stop listening to him at all. There was no way I was going to ever stop listening. But even to this day, I will never give up on Big Crit, regardless if he drops a bad album, which isn't possible. But even if, we're going to jump into hypotheticals. Even if he was to end up releasing a bad album, I'll never jump off the Big Crit wave, because this man he's done way too much.
Yeah.
And through Titty Boy, I actually learned about Sci-Hi the Prince. And Sci-Hi is amazing. One of my top 5, even though I don't have an official, top 5, but if I had one officially, he'd be in there. I don't know if you're familiar with Sci-Hi as much as I am, if any, but this man is amazing.
I'm familiar with him because I do listen to a good bit of underground music and whatnot. But I think the separation between underground music and like mainstream and commercial is really, underground's not really, they're not afraid to say things that people aren't going to agree with. They're not afraid to ruffle those feathers of the majority of people. They're going to say what's on their mind regardless of how you feel about it. But then you get to like mainstream media and it's like, I'll take Drake for instance. When Drake and Pusha T had that whole little beef and whatnot, it was shock value when Pusha T was like, yeah, you have a kid. And then everyone was expecting Drake to be like, all right, dude, we know what you did to Meek Mill, so go back to that. But then for Drake to essentially be like, yeah, I have a kid, and you won. We were like, yo, what are you going to respond? But if you would have put like any underground artist in that situation, underground artist really would have been like, okay, so we want to, you blurred the lines between the reality, my reality, and the reality that the audience knows. So since you blurred those lines, underground artists would have been like, yeah, it's going to be shots fired, point blank, period. Nobody's safe at that point. And when I saw that, I thought of like Tech Nine and Hobson, right? Because Hobson is one of those artists that's like, he's not afraid to tell anyone how he feels.
Nope, period. Not at all.
And
not at all.
If Hobson was in Drake's spot, like Hobson would have attacked like him personally. He would have took more shots at Kanye. He would have found his family members and things like that and took shots at him. But then I looked at Drake and I was like, Drake, you're just not gonna say anything. And I realized how commercial it was when essentially Drake's response was, put out the album. He got embarrassed and was like, drop Scorpion and people will stop talking about this.
Mhm. That's why I don't respect a lot of the like mainstream rappers. It's more shock value than anything. They do stuff for attention. So I can't get behind people that just do things for attention. Like as far as the whole Pusha T and Drake thing, I'm okay with what Pusha T did. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I think that people gave Drake a pass because he's Drake.
They did.
And it's annoying how consistent it's become that you can't even lose even when you lose in the industry anymore.
Yep.
Because you can go from being like just even like the 6ix9ine thing. You can go from being top of the world as far as music is concerned, even though his music is trash in my eyes. Then you go to him snitching on a whole bunch of people and getting out of jail early and then causing more havoc after that. And then he's still somewhat on top after. Like, you can't even lose in the industry anymore. As long as you're relevant, doesn't matter.
Yeah. And with that whole Tekashi thing, I really think the only reason he's still relevant is because he's such a clown, right? Like, it's like a high school complex with him. Like, he does things to get attention, and it's like media is like the teacher. And then we're basically saying like, hey, no, I'm going to say the underground is like the teacher where we're like, hey, if you don't pay him any attention, he'll stop. But then media is like, oh, Tekashi said this, Tekashi did that. And then the fact that we're still giving him that attention is crazy. And I'm not afraid to admit I fell into that trap like a couple weeks ago when I did the last podcast with Kyle. And we were like, let's react to this Tekashi snippet. Now, I thought about it, and I was like, I really gave this man more clout than he needed. He didn't need me to go out here and put his 2 snippets in my podcast, but I still did it because it's his personality that's going to be like, that's so divisive. So either you like him or you hate him. And regardless of where you stand on that spectrum, he has this quality about him that's like, it's infectious to a point that it's like, you're going to see it and you're going to feel a certain way. I don't know how he did it, but he managed to do it.
The thing is with them, they have a machine behind them. Like, whether you want to or not, they're going to push him to the forefront because fuckery sells. Point blank. It's been selling for God knows how long, and they're going to keep doing it because it makes them money. He's not doing it because he feels as though he's worth it. He's doing it because it gains him attention, and with that attention, he gets money.
Yep.
That's it. Like, he's working for a machine that is paying him to be stupid.
Yeah.
That's it. Because as long as he's stupid, they're okay with it. But after a while, if he does anything positive, they'll cut him off immediately.
Yeah.
Because they want you to be stupid.
Yeah. That's what they did with him earlier. Before he had the whole snitching fiasco, he was on top of the world when he was doing his whole thing, and then he went to Mexico and he was giving to charity, and no one really heard about him going to Mexico and helping out those kids in Mexico, or heard about him giving to charity, but we heard about him when he went to court and snitched, and I found that interesting because I was like, so we want to point out the negative that he did, but he really just donated like $1 million to a charity and really just went out and bought laptops for a school in Mexico where they didn't really have resources. And I was like, I don't agree with half the things he says or half the things he does, but I was like, that right there was a character trait. Now, whether that was a PR stunt or not, he still did it. Now, if it's a PR stunt, which it probably was, then it was confusing because how did this PR stunt not get noticed? And I think it's because it wasn't genuine.
A lot of celebrities, I'm not even going to try and knock their hustle, but a lot of celebrities do that. Well, matter of fact, not even celebrities, but a lot of rich people do that because of tax write-off. You pay a lot of money in taxes. All you got to do is donate to charity, and they take it off your taxes, so you don't pay that much.
Yep.
That's why they start like fund, like they'll have like entire organizations for donating, like nonprofit organizations for donating and stuff like that, just because it's tax write-offs. So
yeah,
not all of it's genuine, but I do appreciate the ones who do it that are genuine.
Yeah.
But all in all, it's like again, not trying to knock the hustle, but I mean that's usually how it works.
Yeah, that is about how that works. It is a tax write-off. That's why I support black businesses, because I'm tired of supporting these white businesses. Walmart.
You got to throw that out there.
I had to throw that one out there. I mean, I work for them. I wish they paid us more, but I don't really, like, I'll buy my groceries from there because it's convenient. That's if I buy from there. But, like, normally, like, most of the clothes I wear, like, I'm not, the T-shirts that I have, right, like the Ice Cube and the Tupac and the Biggie T-shirt, I didn't buy from Walmart, because that right there, the way I saw it was, Walmart's not going to give anything to the black community. That money is going to whatever company Walmart has in their stores that printed those T-shirts, essentially. And it's like, do they even have the rights to print this T-shirt? I don't know. So I looked at it and I was like, I'm just going to go to this black-owned shop that I know down here in Huntsville. I'm going to go buy the T-shirt from them and be like, all right, cool. I know where this money's going. I know who owns this job. I know who owns this store. Instead of going down to Walmart and getting essentially the same T-shirt and being like, yeah, I don't know who gets this money, but I want this T-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, that is definitely a good trait to have, especially with the times that we're living in, because the last thing we want is for black-owned businesses, especially in the black community, to play second towards the big corporation. That's the last thing we need. Like, big corporations should be at the bottom of the list as far as like where our money should be going. Because I was teaching my nephews, like I teach them on the weekends. I'll teach them financial literacy, and what I was doing was one specific class, we were learning about taxes and stuff like that. So I jumped off script and I wrote on a board, like the little whiteboard we have in the basement. And I wrote on there, 2 trillion. And I said, this is pretty much an estimate of the amount of money that we put out into the world as far as black people are concerned. Then I wrote underneath that 200 million. And I was like, that's probably the amount of money that we spend for ourselves buying from each other. That was roughly 2% of that 2 trillion. I was like, do you understand how important it is to have $2 trillion leaving you and then only 200 million coming back? You understand how messed up that is. The people who you're giving your money to don't care about where your money is going as long as it don't go, it doesn't circulate between you between the black community. As long as it's not going there, they don't care where it's going. Honestly. But
yeah,
I also said to them, I gave them an idea. I was like, this is a really complex formula. It looks just like numbers to you at this point. But I told them it's a really complex formula. What they did was, and I wrote all of this down, I was like, they created, first and foremost, they created poverty, which is the base of everything. They created low self-esteem. Then they give you an idea of being materialistic. And with that, it all runs together. So the poverty is the base. Then with poverty creates low self-esteem. And since you have low self-esteem, you become materialistic if you ever grow into wealth. If you don't know how to build wealth the right way. Like you see people like Floyd Mayweather and people like that, and he didn't grow up with wealth. So now, like with him being so rich and with him having such a lack of self-esteem, he ended up buying a whole bunch of stuff that was unnecessary. And now he's just, I don't know, he's just a face. Like you see what Gucci has done. He's like one of their biggest suppliers as far as buying. Like you see what a lot of these bad corporations have done to us in general, and people are still taking advantage of the sales that they throw by. Like it's people still shopping at H&M, even after their little situation that they had. However, I also told them, I was like, okay, look at this. In the impoverished areas, there are 3 things that we normally have, and it's easy to be accessed in. We have fast food, we have churches, and we also have liquor stores. Why is that? Fast food is everywhere in the impoverished communities because it's cheaper. It's really cheap, but it's also horrible for you. The stuff that you buy in the store is also not good for you, honestly. Unless you go into a farmer's market and stuff like that, you're not getting the good food, really. You're getting the processed stuff. You're getting a whole bunch of stuff that's going to kill you slowly, but it's going to kill you eventually. Then you get the alcohol. Like, it's so many people addicted to alcohol. Like, alcoholism is glorified nowadays. They advertise it every single day in music videos. They advertise it on television shows and stuff like that. Everything is usually advertised in like predominantly black shows. You gotta advertise alcohol in some way. And then you get your churches. Churches usually don't pay any taxes. They have no property taxes, nothing like that. However, there are churches that require you to pay tithes every single Sunday. Some churches even give you a minimum. You have to pay this amount of money in your income in order for you to be a member of this church. So they're pimping you out of your money, yet they don't have to pay property taxes. All they have to do is pay somewhat of a building fund, and a lot of them don't even get building. They don't even get improvements done to the buildings. They're okay with taking your money because all of it's going to circulate into that $2 trillion. like, regardless of how you look at it, like, we don't own a lot of the liquor stores. We don't own the fast food restaurants. We really don't even own the churches. The churches are owned by the state anyway, like, because a lot of that stuff is just like, you're still going to have to pay some way. Because normally the pastor will go out and buy himself a nice car. It adds on to the $2 trillion. He goes out and buys him a nice house, adds on to the $2 trillion. Buys a bunch of fast food, buys whores, buys hookers, or whatever stuff that they're usually hiding under the surface. Not all of them, but a lot of them. All of that goes into the $2 trillion. So all of the money that you're paying to the church usually is going towards the $2 trillion. It's not always going to go towards a negative thing. I'm not going to try to jump into that idea, but it's going to jump into that $2 trillion majority of the time. There are churches that do community services and community drive and stuff like that, and I applaud that. I never knock any of that hustle at all. If they're going to do something good for the community, that's what's up. I respect that. But a vast majority, you look at somebody like Joel Osteen, this man got a church the size of a football stadium, and his house is about the size of, like, Manassas around here. Like, and his church is not taxed. None of it at all. And you remember the little situation they had out in Houston where where it was flooding, and then they tried to get into the church and he wouldn't let nobody in because he said there was something wrong with it, even though it was completely clean.
Yeah.
Like, that situation, like, it goes to show how much they really care about the people. Because people in Houston, it's a lot of black people in Houston. That's where they decided to put the church. So a lot of that money coming from black people. Black people are highly religious, and they're really devoted to a situation, regardless of what it is. Like, if you can get them to devote to you, then you have them for life. That's why, like, the black-owned business it's an idea. Well, right now it seems more of like an idea than it is an actual, like, how do I put it? It just seems like it's in the back of our minds as right now. Because even with the businesses that I've started, I've seen as though, like, a lot of people are more likely to just put it off and just be like, you know what, I don't even care. Like, you can do whatever you want. I've had people say, oh, I'll get something from you, or I'll get this, I'll get that, and then never buy anything. I've had it happen numerous times, to the point where I'm okay with people not buying things because I don't expect it. And that's like the last thing somebody should have to feel as a business owner. But that's how we've been raised. And it's horrible to think. It's horrible to think about that we've been raised to not support our own. Is it the previous generation's fault? Is it the people who want the $2 trillion's fault? I'll definitely give it an 80-20 towards the people who want the $2 trillion. But honestly, we just need to do better collectively. It's an unfortunate byproduct of slavery. Like, we've been beaten to the point where we don't even want to be around each other. Like, mentally just led astray. But that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah. You hit it on the head, man. And I really hadn't even thought about, like, the black TV shows and black movies, like the liquor in those movies and TV shows specifically. I had thought about, like, the black communities always having the liquor stores. And I don't know why, that just seems to be like a staple of black communities to have a liquor store. Mm-hmm. And then, like, when you said it, I immediately started to think of, like, Power, because that's one of my favorite shows to look at. And then St. Patrick, he owns a club, and in every scene that he's in the club, he has liquor in his hand. And I had never really thought about that until just now, that, like, most TV shows and movies with black people in them that are meant for a more mature audience, they usually have liquor.
Mhm.
And I really didn't think about that until just now.
Yeah, it's definitely a concept worth giving some attention to.
Yeah,
and they're using it, they're marketing it to you, bro. That's how it works.
Yeah, and it's a marketing strategy essentially, because a lot of them I know, like if you go watch like a music video, right? Like if you go watch a Rick Ross music video, guarantee you're gonna see Bel Air like at least six times throughout a 3-minute video. If you watch a P Diddy video or one where P Diddy has anything to do with it, you're gonna see Ciroc at least 12 times in a 3-minute video. And it's like the marketing strategies it's egregious. It's so in your face, and we just grown to accept it because it gradually got worse. Instead of it being like no liquor to straight liquor, it gradually got worse to being like no liquor to maybe I'll put some here, and then it gradually just got progressively worse. So now it's just in your face, and you can't do anything about it.
Nope. Yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I've been noticing stuff like this forever, because you realize that alcoholism was considered somewhat taboo. It was frowned upon. Now you can actually see people on Facebook like clamoring at the idea of getting drunk, and people will applaud it. People will completely applaud it. There's no such thing as taboo nowadays. Like we look at like promiscuity for both sexes. At one point, it was considered taboo. Now, it's considered sexual freedom. And the transmission of sexually transmitted disease is rampant. But sexual freedom is cool. But at the same time, alcoholism is considered poisoning your body consistently with nothing but toxic material. We're not supposed to consume alcohol, which is the same reason why if you drink too much of it, your body will expel it, because you don't want it. You've trained your body to like something that it doesn't. Like, if someone was to say, if you're allergic to shellfish, you need to eat all of these shrimps, otherwise you're going to go hungry. You're going to kill yourself just because you're starving. But if someone was to give you alcohol and they say, drink as much as you can, if you're a lightweight, you're going to throw it up because your body doesn't want it. The same thing goes with an allergic reaction. Your body doesn't want it, so it's going to create, it's going to swell. It's going to do something to let you know it doesn't want it. But for some reason, we've trained ourselves to believe that alcohol should be nothing more than an allergic reaction to us. We should look at alcohol as being poison, exactly what it is. Now we glorify it. We have so many different ideas of how to make different drinks and to make alcohol consumable and to make it taste better, even though alcohol is disgusting on its own. So they doctor it up in order for you to believe that you're drinking something else, but they're so enamored by the idea of toxic. Alcohol is toxic. Relationships, so many different toxic ideas. Toxicity is amazing now. It's the new thing. It's the craze. People want toxicity. It brings out the best of everyone, because it makes you believe that, hey, at least I'm not that guy. Because you see somebody drunk and jumping over themselves, tripping and falling, at least I'm not that nigga. And then you feel better about yourself, even though you're almost as drunk as that person. And then later on, the next day, it's just like, oh my God, you remember how drunk we were that day? And then they're reminiscing about it. And they're reminiscing about something that's incredibly destructive. And you think about how much of that money could have gone to something important. There's so much.
it's easily like hundreds from just person to person. Like each person, like if you go to the club, I know I have friends that'll go and they'll be like, yeah, I bought this many drinks, and I'll be like, well, how much did you spend? They'll be like, yeah, I spent like a solid like 200, maybe 300. I'm like, you spent that much on liquor. Like, first off, how much is this liquor costing you? Second off, how much are you drinking? And it's to a point that like everyone calls these things toxic. It's to a point that I don't even call them toxic anymore. I compare it to like a lemon and how they're acidic. And it's like everyone likes lemonade. So like that acidity is what people are, and what these like alcohol, it's not even toxic anymore. It's just acidic to a point that everyone else has it. And then you go out and get it. Because you look at toxic, you hear toxic, you're like, oh, I don't want that. But when people think of alcohol, they don't think of toxic. They think of, this is a good time. So then I could, like, when they say, oh, that's a good time, I'm like, yeah, that's acidic right there, because you think that it's a good thing. But if you have too many good things, it's a bad thing. And the thing is, you think of like that lemon, that acidic, that acidity. When you throw up and it burns, that's acid going through. That's acid essentially, and it's like you have stomach acid that if it wasn't for the lining in your stomach, you would burn from the inside out essentially. And that's how I look at it now, is that like everything has become, all the bad things that were taboo and shunned on that are now like open game. It's like you can't even call them toxic anymore. It's just like that's just acidic to a point that if it wasn't for your body's negative reaction, you'd kill yourself from the inside out.
Yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from. But when I say toxic, I didn't mean it in its literal form. It was just like,
yeah,
you look at toxic as poison, but then I'm comparing toxic to two different definitions, like toxic, the poison, and then toxic as in like very wrong for someone, not necessarily being bad in the way like it's killing you. Toxic as in like a bad situation.
Yeah.
So I'm comparing the two.
That.
So yeah, like when I say just toxic in a way, but it was more like metaphorically speaking. But yeah, I know you understand, but you gotta clarify, because not everyone's gonna understand it that way.
Yeah.
So then,
I mean, if you look at it, like the things that it's done doing to the communities too, like it's crazy, because these toxic things, it's just a toxic environment, and it's stemming from adults who are finding these things to be okay, to a point that like their kids in the younger generation, I'll look at people like younger than me, and they'll be like, I pose halfway nude, and here's my Instagram, and you can go look at it. And I'm like, do your parents know about this? And they're like, yeah, they support it. And it's like the things that were taboo that we have completely opened up, and it's like, what's gonna happen like when I become a parent? Because I don't think I'm prepared for that from what I'm seeing going on with people that might be like 7 to 10 years younger than me.
Mhm. I mean, a lot of people who do stuff like that, they don't take into consideration the fact that they might have children one day. And you know how tough it was for children growing up in the 90s and early 2000s with the especially in this area. The area I live in, DMV area, is just like everybody's going to clown you for something. It doesn't matter what it is. But if you give them ammunition, you're as good as dead. And they hold no cut cards. Children are the worst human beings when it comes to human emotion. They don't care how you feel, they're going to say it. So if a father, God forbid, like he's doing all these women greasy, and then it comes back on him like years later with his children, because apparently one of the girls that he was dating, one of the girls that he did wrong, her child goes to the same school as him, and now his child has to deal with the same situation that his mom had to deal with, because she made him completely bitter towards the person. Now he's looking at his son, he's like, oh, I want to fuck him up. So all that, it comes back to haunt you. And at the same time, you look at females that like posing nude for no reason on like Instagram and stuff like that. Even like it's going as far as OnlyFans. Like, I know it's not not to knock anybody hustle, but you gotta look in the other avenues. Like some of them have kids. Can you imagine a child getting their hands on one of the pictures? Because Reddit just jumps on all of that and they get it for free.
Yeah.
So can you imagine a child getting a hold of one of the parents' moms, and then they bring it to school? It's over. It's over. Like, you think bullying was bad when they didn't have ammunition? Oh, no, it's going to be, nah. Wait until they find out your mom got an OnlyFans, or they find out your mom doing all this wild stuff on Instagram or Facebook. Like, it's going to be a smorgasbord of, like, what they call bullying. Like, but it's going to be unforgivable. Like, a lot of the stuff that they're going to have to go through, there's no way of coming back from it. Yeah. So you're looking at a generation that's going to be even more depressed because they're going into a situation where their parent was either too neglectful, or they just was too selfish to realize that they have other people that are looking up to them and who are possibly going to gain, or at the same time are going to gain the same, like some of the treatment that they're going to get from somebody. Like, a lot of the stuff that they're going to have to go through is going to be the result of the parent. So you can't look at that and saying, well, I'm just living my life and stuff. You don't have just your life to live for now. You have to take into consideration the people under you. Because they got to deal with that. Like, I've gone through similar situations myself, but not with like parents, but with people. But it's definitely not something that you want to have to deal with. So
yeah,
collectively, like, you have to learn how to do better. I understand sometimes times is hard, stuff like that, but we have to learn how to respect ourselves first. And one thing, like, when respecting ourselves, we got to respect the fact that we are going to eventually, even if you made a conscious decision to not create life, do you? But if you have created or have a plan on ever creating life later on, you have to rethink your decisions. And it may sound like I'm a real asshole for saying this, but honestly, you have someone else to be accountable for it. And it's not just, oh, I'm living my life. No, you're living your life for somebody else. And they're going to have to reap what you sow. It's not always going to fall on you. So that's kind of like where I stand with those types of ideas. Just like so many people are so selfish when it comes to the way they handle themselves.
Yeah. And I know I saw on the news, not even the news, basically the news, not too long ago, speaking of like it not always falling back on you or fall back on someone else, there was a mom who had her OnlyFans and the school discovered it and they expelled her kids. And from expelling their kids, I put myself in that situation, but not like now, but back if I was in middle school. Because I know when I was in middle school, we were ruthless. We didn't care how you felt. Your mama jokes were flying everywhere. We were like, we wanted to cut deep. And like, I put myself in that situation, like bullying now compared to like when I was in middle school, it's like when I was in high school and people were like, oh, I'm getting bullied. And I looked at the situation, like you're not really getting bullied. You're getting joked on. That's all that is. But like bullying, like when I was in middle school, was like I'm trying to cut deep. Like we were ruthless essentially. Like we didn't care about how you felt, or if your mom heard it, how your mom was going to feel, or if your dad heard it, how your dad was going to feel. We didn't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because like you said, we're ruthless. We are some of the most hateful people when we're younger.
Yeah, they don't care about human emotions, bro.
Not at all. And I know when I was in middle school, I know I didn't care. I did not care. Part of that came from you calling me walrus, making me cry.
I apologize for that.
Hey, it's good, man. Like, tough skin from there, man.
It don't make me feel any better.
Hey, it's good, man. Cause I remember like being upstairs. I think you were playing like Spyro. You were like walrus, and you just kept going. You were like, stop crying, stop crying. I just couldn't stop crying because like I was so angry. But then looking back, and I was like, all you were trying to do was to be like, look, this is going to happen. People are going to call you out of your name. And how do you deal with it? Do you essentially man up and just say, hey, you say it's not what you call me, it's what I respond to, or are you going to respond to them in anger? And like, I got to thank you for that, because like now people will be like, nigger. And I'll just be like, cool, go on about my day at this point, because like you're going to say what you want to say. You can call me out my name all day, but if I don't respond to you, no one's going to know that you're talking to me unless they ask you like, hey, who are you talking to? And you point it out, because you can call me dumb, stupid, skinny, like whatever you want to say all day, but if I don't respond to you, that right there, I'm not giving you any power.
You can't lie, you are kind of skinny though.
I am skinny, okay? I can't help it.
Well, you're not Jeremiah though. As long as you're not him, you're all right.